from the NewsChannel 5 network. This is Score on Business.
Here we go. Hey, welcome to Score on Business. I'm Pete Hendricks. I'm your host today. Hey, make sure you check out scorenashville.org. We have classes and many resources for small businesses. So our guest today, Jason Palmer, has been a Chief Information Officer for many years and has worked in technology for over 20 years at companies of all sizes, from Staples, UPS, Office Depot to much smaller companies. Most recently, he was the CIO of High Touch Business Services, which was the largest national privately held office supply company then based here in Nashville. He has now moved on to Results Advisory, where he's providing fractional CIO services to small and medium-sized businesses. So thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, Pete.
Jason, so first off, in the question, as a fractional CIO, how do you help companies succeed? And part of that, what is a fractional CIO?
Well, so a fractional CIO is really just the same as a normal CIO, a regular CIO that's full-time, but they're part-time. They may spend a couple hours a week or maybe a day or two a week, depending on the arrangement, with the company. So being in the same realm as a normal CIO, they're focused around IT strategy, aligning technology with the business, and then measuring it and improving, like in any department, in the IT department. A fractional CIO they're a permanent fixture, part-time, but permanent fixture. They're not project-based, so it's not somebody that you'd call in, to say, hey, put a CRM system in for me or do this. They're a permanent fixture. They come in, they gain an understanding of the business, of the senior leadership team and how to interact with them. And then they continue there to help guide the company in technology. They're not necessarily a replacement for your in-house IT. They should work with them, and in best cases, they elevate those people so that everybody improves in the company and the individuals that you have in IT.
So what I think I'm hearing you say is the CIO is a strategic executive who needs to be focused on strategy and focused on meeting the business needs. And CIOs are expensive, and so what you're doing is, instead of working for one company, you do work for quite a few, and smaller companies that can't afford a CIO still get that CIO level of experience to come in and ask questions to make sure the business units are getting their needs met. And
no, that's exactly right. Not every company needs an IT strategy.
Yes.
But not every company has the need or the budget, as you said, for a full-time CIO, because they can get expensive, and you may not have enough need for them. The other benefit to a fractional is they're seeing what's going on in many companies. If you stay at one company long enough, you start to get some tunnel vision. And it's very helpful to see what other companies are doing.
Okay, so when you've looked at a lot of companies and worked with a lot of companies, when you go in and meet with a smaller company and start working with them, what are you looking for and evaluating in the beginning?
The things that I would look at when I first go in, the biggest thing is the IT department meeting the needs and the expectations of the business. Ultimately, that's the goal. Does the business look at IT as a utility, or do they look at it as a value add, a department that adds competitive advantage? Is what it should be. It should not be just a utility. Is there a business partnership? Does the business come to IT to try to solve problems? If the business looks at IT more like an electric company, where you just you need electricity to run, but they're not a competitive advantage, that's where you really need a leadership and strategy role in IT. The next thing I would look at...
because in all businesses there are critical success factors. In this day and time, the technology is a critical success factor for any company.
Especially small and medium-sized businesses.
And if you're treating it like, what can you do to spend less?
That is a problem. And when we look, the next thing I would look at is the cost of IT.
Right.
Do you know what it is? Because the first thing is a lot of companies are going, they don't even know what it is. What is it as a percent of your revenue? You can be a little above or below, your industry average for the size company and your vertical.
Yeah.
There are averages. They give you a good guideline. You can be a little above or below, but really being, if your industry is 6% and you're at 15, you know that there's a problem. But the same thing is if you're 6% in the industry and you're at 2%, that's just as bad as spending too much because you're missing a lot of opportunity.
Right. A lot of productivity, a lot of
efficiency, and then just forming relationships with your customers through technology, which we'll talk about. But digital business and digital marketing, those things are very key right now, and they will be moving forward.
Right.
The other thing I would look at is does your IT department have metrics? Are they measuring availability of applications and systems? Are they measuring project success? Are they measuring internal customer satisfaction? That's a key one. The budget, do they measure their budget? And are they taking responsibility for both their own performance and the vendor's performance? A lot of internal IT departments kind of write off, well, we've outsourced that, so that's not our responsibility. But it is your responsibility.
Right.
Ultimately, you're responsible for everything. And then, is there a focus on security? Right now, a lot of IT departments, and I've even heard some other consultants saying, well, you're a small company, you're not a target, don't worry about it. Totally false.
Yeah.
You are a target. If you have any money at all,
Yeah.
you're a target. Everybody is a target, and really your IT department should be focusing on security, and there should be a lot of talk around that.
Yeah.
And a lot of activity around that. And then, how disruptive would it be if you lost a single person? If you're running a 2 or 3 person IT shop or a 1 person IT shop, you need to make sure that losing a single person is not going to severely disrupt. It's going to be disruptive, but you have to make sure that that person doesn't have the keys to the kingdom. And the same thing goes for vendors. So you wouldn't want to give the whole thing to one vendor. I really go for a hybrid approach where you have a vendor and some internal IT that work together. And you're not caught where one person or one company can really hold you hostage. And I think people have heard stories of that, and it does happen.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
You need to make sure that you set it up so that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Read the agreement before you sign it.
Exactly. And then the last thing that I would look at, and this is just a traditional one, but do you have backup and some disaster plans? Because especially now with the security one, if you don't have backups, that's a problem.
There are a lot of companies that have their data taken hostage.
Yes, that's called ransomware.
Yeah.
And the FBI now has actually come out recently and suggested you pay the ransom. So in the past they have said no, don't pay it. But now they've released the statement saying we understand you need to run your business. If you don't have a backup, we're okay if you pay the ransom, report it, but pay the ransom. And unfortunately, most of them don't get solved. And they're totally preventable if you had a backup that is air-gapped, that they can't encrypt.
Right.
These are simple things. They're not very expensive.
Right.
So those are things that your IT department should be
really
looking at.
Kind of comes back to the need, even if you have an IT guy or a couple of IT guys or gals, the fractional CIO is really bringing a strategic perspective.
Correct. And the fractional CIO is not doing the work. So they're not implementing a backup plan, but they're helping you with the strategy and making sure that you have these things, and they know, or they should know, what's going on in the industry, in other industries, in IT in general, and how people are handling this. And they should help you within your budget solve these problems.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Let's see. We'll take a break.
Okay.
And we'll be right back.
All right.
Okay.